Welcome back folks, my name is LastKnownMeal and today we're gonna be talking about Stalker 2 Heart of Chornobyl new trailer which came out last night. So 2 days ago we have learned that GSC Game World is going to be showcasing finally a gameplay trailer for Stalker 2. I was honestly surprised that we are going to get a trailer by the end of the year because I was expecting for all of that to start happening in 2023. Honestly, with everything happening in Ukraine and everything happening with GSC Game World because they had to switch countries so they could continue their work. Honestly, I was surprised that even 2023 was a date where we're going to see Stalker 2. I was expecting at least 2024, which again that does not mean that we are not going to potentially see a delay. It can obviously happen, but for now it just says 2023, so we can assume that's going to be happening sometimes in 2023, but my assumption is going to be by the end of the year, sometimes November, December, not any time before that. So today we're going to be going through everything we have seen in the trailer and talk about some of the extra stuff. But before we do that, just a quick word from our partners. This video is brought to you by Xbox Gamepass. Gamepass is a monthly service that gives you access to various amazing games from both Microsoft and third-party developers and publishers, including almost all ZeniMax and Bethesda titles. You can go play some Doom or Elder Scrolls or some Fallout, as well as new games being added every month. Also, each new Microsoft Studio game will be available here day one on GamePass, and if you are on the move, play games through cloud. And besides that, I'm pretty sure that in most regions the first month is going to be only $1, so definitely worth checking out. This is everything, thank you for listening. So the new trailer called Come to Me is actually showcasing some of the basic elements of Stalker. So what you're going to do, with what sort of people you're going to be interacting with, how is the gunplay going to feel, how is looting going to feel, and basically the world you're going to be playing in. So one of the first things that we do know is that this is going to be open world. Previous Stalker games were semi-open world where you had relatively big areas for you to explore and do missions in, but you can also traverse into different areas. There was just a loading screen on top of it, and you had to choose specific routes depending on where you wanted to go, and that's especially if you were playing Anomaly and not the originals, which again, I do say to everyone, if you haven't played the original games, please do, because they are amazing. So obviously Stalker 2 is going to be taking place after everything which was happening in previous games. So there is going to be a time gap between this game and everything which was happening before. So it's not going to be a prequel or anything like that. One of the first things I actually do see here is that you see this guy absolutely destroying everyone, including you, kicking you in the head and all of that. One of the things I was able to see from the clothing at least is that this could be a Monolith member, but again, due to the light and everything, I could be wrong on this, but just the camo being the urban camo this guy is wearing, who's kicking everyone inside, could be either a Monolith member or an ex-Monolith member, because I don't know, he's not really acting like Monolith here, so it could be anything. But whoever this person is, I do think he might be either one of the characters, one of the main characters we meet, or this could be one of the main antagonists in the game, who knows. And now let's jump to the actual gameplay. So one of the first things which was always bothering me with Stalker 2, especially with Stalker 2 in Unreal Engine, is how are they going to transfer the atmosphere and just the feel the game had in X-Ray Engine, because whenever you switch engines, some of the things are going to change, because every single engine feels and plays in a different way. You can definitely notice that. But of course, it all comes down to people and their imagination, how well they program and make the game. So first things first, even though this is Unreal Engine, judging from how they use the light and how they use the textures in some of the areas here, it still felt in some way like spiritually X-Ray Engine, which is good because the atmosphere and the way the game was played before, how the character was moving, how the character was shooting, how NPCs were reacting to being shot, all of that kind of reminds me of the original game, which is good because they still maintain that original feeling which made Stalker into what it is. Going through these hallways, going through various labs, going through Cordon or going through Garbage or Jupiter or somewhere else, it's just going to give you this amazing atmosphere, and it's going to give you the feeling that not a lot of games actually can achieve. Even with the best graphics, it doesn't matter because the atmosphere has to be that way. From the wind sounds, to the audio, to the monsters, to everything. And now we arrive to this guy. So I'm honestly a bit confused on who this person might be, because at first I was like, this could be either Sakharov or the Doctor. So the Doctor from the original first game, Shadow of Chernobyl, was a close friend of Strelok. And with Strelok, he was one of the first Stalkers, actually. The Doctor was one of the first Stalkers, or well, one of the first people to enter the zone in the first place. Or this could be Sakharov, for all I know, because the face and the hair is kind of similar with the model that they were using before, but the problem is these models in X-Ray Engine are so old that this could be a new character for all we know, but it definitely reminded me either of Sakharov or the Doctor. So it could be one of the two. Tell me down below. But he does talk here about, you know, how they breached the noosphere, how 10 years later we have shaped the zone into our own image, etc, etc. But again, I still do think that there is something happening much bigger in the zone. And I'm going to talk about that later, especially connected to the sea consciousness. Even though it's destroyed, I still do believe that some form of it, might have survived. The Wish Granter, something. And especially here, because we can see these devices and how they're gonna be working, probably doing something with the field of the zone. But again, as we get closer to the game, it's going to be, well, you know, described on what is this exactly going to do in the game. But this device is strange because it almost feels like in some form it's doing some mini emission. In a sense. I don't know, I could be wrong about this device, but it honestly reminds me if you took like a small mini portable emission and you just turned it on and it just started working, because it reminds me of that. And not just that, but also the foliage, how the foliage is moving in this scene. Imagine the first blowout, the first side storm. It's gonna be so good if the foliage works in this way and you have this storm. Atmospherically, this is going to be a plus. And after that we have some dual shotgun action, pretty typical for a Stalker game, especially how the body reacts to being shot. It really reminded me of the old X-Ray Engine. The textures are insane on the walls, especially we can see how incredibly detailed this is. But one of the things I do like is that right now we're gonna have a lot more open areas, so that means you're gonna have a lot more apartment buildings which are going to be well open for you to explore, which is very nice from this perspective. But yeah, pretty much like the enemies fall and they kind of act very in a similar fashion like they did in the original game, which is nice. And also here we can see that we can pick up some stuff from the table, like this AK, which I think it's gonna be able to be picked up. I doubt this is going to be just a prop, you know, sitting here. Here we see an helicopter, so the military is still going to have a heavy presence in the game. And there's actually a part that we're going to talk about when it comes to military in general. Here, obviously, we're gonna be using a screw so we can check if there is any anomalies in front of us, so we can walk and go into an artifact and pick it up. This is one of the most common things you're going to have in the zone, especially for new players. You have to be very incredibly careful where you walk in this game, because just like that, you can step into an anomaly and you're going to die. Especially in higher difficulties, if you step into one of these, there's a high chance it's going to completely deplete your health and there is no way of you getting out. But we can definitely see some of the new anomalies and artifacts here, and even they said they're going to include some of the new artifacts and anomalies, and some of the old anomalies and artifacts are going to see some change, but you're still going to have a level of similarities like you have with this one that is going to just completely destroy you if you step in it. Now this area is interesting. So this entire discussion, first off, if we look at the actual props or objects within the game itself, like the pickles or the kobasa, I think it's called the same in Ukrainian, I don't know, but the quality of all of these objects on this table is insane. And not just that, but also the quality of faces in this game. I don't know, it could be the light, but the details of the faces, even those in like in the background, are incredibly well done. Now this guy on the right, I'm still not sure who this might be, especially judging from the outfit he's wearing. I doubt he's going to be military, maybe his duty or something like that. I doubt he's freedom is not going to be handling these situations, so it could be duty member, whatever, but he's threatening this guy, so there is definitely gonna be some sparks happening with, you know, people living there who are still in the zone, like for example the guy on the left and the guy in the background who's clearly aiming at this guy, and then you have this guy who could be again, duty? I don't know. And also one of the things which I've noticed is the voice acting, which is so weird if it doesn't have like the Eastern European accent or something similar to it. Like, it just felt weird. So I was thinking, like, if I'm gonna really be playing this in English, or I'm just gonna be sticking to Ukrainian and then I'm just gonna have English subtitles, because it's very weird when you don't hear the similar words that you know, the bandits were saying to you, the cheeky breaky stuff. So I mean, this has to be in the game. This is a staple of Stalker. And also here we can see some of the extra locations and the weapons we're gonna be using. There has been some frame rate drops in this trailer, so I do hope when the game comes out it's going to be smooth. Again, the problem with open world games is that you can never really polish them to release, and there is always going to be some issues, but at least I hope when it comes to frame rate and everything else, it's going to be stable and good, and that release is going to be smooth by itself. But we'll see. Again, some of these locations, if they stutter, you know, still the game is far away from coming out. They still have, even if they release in December, they have good 11 months to actually polish this, so you know, it's good on that side. I just hope, again, it's going to be smooth. Also, I like the animations here. When this guy greets you, he has bread in one hand and he's got a pistol in the other, and he's probably going to be one of our closest friends in the game. At least that's how the game is setting up him to be as. Classic, some AK action, some, you know, explosions and everything, fighting within other people. I like the gunplay, I like the style of the game, and I like how they maintained a similar focus on what they had before. Now, of course, when it comes to inventory system, let's check this out. First off, we can see that he's looting Lieutenant Vorobyev, so it obviously could be that he was fighting the military faction in this case. We have the assault GP37 rifle here, and there's actually it says a fist rate example of a modern weapon. So that's one of the things people have noticed. So when it comes to at least like the inventory system, it is going to still maintain that grid inventory system with 60 kilos, which is going to probably be like your starting weight you can carry. Besides that, we see here the grenade, the bread, the sausage, we can see the vodka, we can see different types of ammo, so everything we kind of got used to from the original game is going to be here. When it comes to weapons themselves, some of the things we can see is, for example, damage penetration, fire rate, distance, and accuracy, so that's going to be one of the things we have to pay attention to. There is going to be different calibers like they was before, like here obviously it's going to be 5.56mm magazine, 30 rounds, and it's going to have different modes we can switch. So at least when it comes to that, like the weapons are still going to maintain the idea that they had in the original Stalker games, which is very nice. Of course, we have seen some of the locations in the trailer, like for example the garbage. So this particular location is actually a train hangar, so that's going to be when you enter the garbage on the left after you pass I think there is an abandoned building, and then you actually go to the train hangar. But nevertheless, the train hangar obviously has the same vibes as it has in the original, but it's going to be visually enhanced in Unreal Engine 5. We can actually see here the second exit from the train hangar, and there's going to be probably some bandits behind this gate. And also we see Jupiter, so Jupiter is going to be in the game as well, which is kind of normal because GSC Game World has said that we are going to revisit a lot of the old locations from the original games, going from the cordon to, as I said, garbage, Rookie Village down below. I'm just thinking like there probably has to be some changes on where each faction is, because it's been like what, 10 years like in-game time that has passed, so things are definitely most likely going to change on where which faction is going to be stationed. And of course here we have the radar station Duga. I mean, I just cannot wait to actually get into this and explore this area. We have the poppy fields as well. That's actually the screenshot that we had back like a year ago. So that location is going to be here, which looks quite nice. I like how the nature just continues to live on after everything which has happened, so you can definitely see more vegetation going across everything, much more than it was in the original game, which is nice to see this progression above it. And also one more thing for the end is this guy who says, "I am blind, but it is you who cannot see." So a lot of people were asking if this is maybe a Monolith member or an ex-Monolith member. For me, this definitely does look like an ex-Monolith member. First off, with this shard over here, which kind of reminds me of Monolith, I don't know. And then second of all, again, the urban camo that they're wearing, the urban white camo that they're wearing, which is usually what Monolith has been wearing. So it could be, with after everything which has happened with Sea Consciousness, with, you know, without going into huge spoilers, it could be that the effects kind of stopped a little bit, so some of them regained their consciousness a bit, maybe, and now they're in this situation. But I still would love to see Monolith in its original form, and I would still love to fight Monolith where they go like zombies or like brainwashed people, so that would be cool. Besides that, Bloodsuckers, we can see them, they're back. I think I also saw like some side dogs, which we were fighting here in Jupiter, so I mean it looks nice. I don't know what to tell you, like anomalies are back, exploration is back, so I just hope again that the release is going to be smooth, and I am incredibly excited to play this because Stalker was my childhood. Stalker is one of the games I played a lot when I was growing up. Yeah, I know it's a game for mature audiences, but still it was a good game. But all in all, I do hope they still tackle the story of Sea Consciousness. I still hope in some form, because they said the god cannot be killed, in some form things have changed and there is something much more deadlier now that we have to fight. But if anything, you have to understand, a lot of us who are like original Stalker fans, we never thought that we're going to see the light of this game, that we're ever going to see it, because it was cancelled, delayed, completely forgotten. Then when that first website appeared long time ago, like what, 3 years ago, when we learned that Stalker is going to be, you know, Stalker 2 is going to be made, it was like a dream come true. So I'm excited, and hopefully everything is going to be alright. So this is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to tell me down below what do you think about all of this, and do you enjoy what you've seen right now? And also check us out, as I said, on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. If you wanted to support the channel in an extra way, you can do it through Patreon or join directly through YouTube. This is LKM signing out. Stay classy everyone, and I'll see you in 2023. Goodbye.